Eventually, I did get to work on another TOS Type 2 phaser build-up. This one includes a special feature that I think you'll find interesting. The phaser is pretty much the same as most of the Type 2 phasers I've built before, so I'm not going to bother doing a complete build-up here in the video. I'm just going to show you what went into that one special feature. If you've seen my previous posts, you know that I've built a large number of TOS Type 2 phaser prop replicas. One feature that I've installed in many of those phaser replicas was a working Phaser-II control dial, which allowed me to select 3 different color phaser beams, usually red, blue, and green. Here is a typical example of one of those phasers equipped with 3 different color phaser beams, and it works like this. It's a green beam for stun settings, a blue beam for mid-range settings, and of course a red beam for the higher settings. To get that effect, to get the ability to change colors, I used a 5mm RGB LED. Now, if you're not familiar with LED technology, this right here is a 5mm RGB LED. You notice that it has multiple contact points, and depending on which contact point you bring into your circuit, you get a different color. So there's the red, and over here is the blue contact, and down here someplace is the green contact. Okay, so that one single LED can be inserted into the back of the phaser's beam emitter housing, like that, and it will give me those 3 colors, just as you saw on the phaser. Now this looks very much like the last phaser I just showed you, but this one has a different feature to it. Instead of 3 different colors, it has just one, red, but this is generated by a laser. Using a miniature laser diode like this one makes the installation very easy. You just slip it in there and hot glue it in place. If you want to put in a little bit more effort and create a mount for it, you can use a full-size laser emitter, laser diode, and mount that in the back too. The thing is, the laser has to go in that center hole because it has to fire straight forward to come out of the acrylic beam emitter tip for the phaser. The last phaser I created, the one I'm about to show you in this video, is a little different because I finally figured out how to incorporate both a laser and a blue LED and a green LED. So I'm getting my 3 color selections, but I've also got laser power in this one. Now, if you look at the back of a standard TOS phaser beam emitter, you notice the housing only has room for one light source right there in the middle. So once the laser is installed in there, and it has to be installed in there, there's no place else to put another light source. The solution actually turned out to be something very simple. If you don't have 2 more holes to install 2 more light sources, you drill 2 holes into the back. So I can still put my laser in the center where it has to go, and I can put an LED into each of those holes. Now, those holes are not drilled straight down. They're drilled in at about a 40-degree angle. So they lean in toward the center of the beam emitter housing. And those holes are 4 millimeters in diameter, which gives you plenty of room to install a 3 millimeter LED. So we're just going to sit this big boy in there and push it all the way down. Now I'm going to grab a battery pack here and hook it up. Okay, in this case I've got a blue LED, and you can see I'm getting a really bright beam effect from that tiny little 3 millimeter LED. And the tip is lighting up nice and clean. Alright, and all I would have to do to complete this arrangement is take this other hole on the other side and slip in a 3 millimeter green LED. The end result of all that work on the beam emitter housing is this TOS Type 2 phaser. It looks just pretty much like all the other TOS Type 2 phasers I've done, but it's got a few different features to it. For one thing, I needed a little more battery power, so I installed 2 AAAs in the grip instead of putting a couple of button cells into the body like I usually do. So here's the phaser in action. There's that nice green stun beam. There's my blue mid-range beam. And there is my laser beam. Now this didn't come out quite exactly as I hoped it would, but it looks very good and it works well enough, and I'm happy with the results ultimately. Of course, you know, it does have a removable phaser 1. Wouldn't be complete without one. And in this case, I even did little things like putting a movable phaser 1 release pin in the model. It doesn't unlock anything, but it's a nice touch. You know, the side dial rotates, the beam width collar rotates. So basically this is a fully functional Type 2 replica, and it finally contains both LEDs and lasers for a slightly more interesting firing effect. That's my presentation for today. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.